Hey, this is Jamey with Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in a game called Wizard that I just played for the first time the other day on Board Game Arena. That's why I don't have any visuals to show you. But I believe it is a much older game. I believe it's been around for maybe around 40 years, 30 or 40 years. But it does something that we've seen in some very modern games that I wanted to highlight because it's a really, really cool mechanism that I enjoy. And that is, in Wizard, it's a trick-taking game where you are trying to win a hand of cards or a certain number of hands of cards because at the beginning of each round, you are bidding on how many hands of cards you think you can win. Um, However, the twist is that in the first round, every player is just dealt one card. And so, based on the one card you have in your hand, you have to make a decision of how many tricks you think you can win. But there's only one trick that round. So, you're either betting 0 or 1 in that first round. In the second round, every player gets 2 cards. So, you shuffle all the cards back together. You have no information gained from the previous rounds. You shuffle all the cards together. It's essentially a standard poker deck. And then you deal each player 2 cards. And you do the same thing. You each bid a certain number of how many hands you think you can win, 0, 1, or 2, and then you play out that round, and then you up it to 3 cards, and you do this all the way up until you have a 13 card hand, and you can stop short if you want. You can play until you can just say, okay, we're going to play 5 rounds and just play up to 5. But a full game of Wizard plays up to 13 rounds. And I love this. I love this ramping up system. We've seen it in modern, very successful games like The Mind and The Crew, and that you're starting very simply and then escalating over the course of missions in The Crew or over the course of multiple rounds in The Mind. But it's just, I think I love this mechanism. I want to hear about more games that use this mechanism because I love how simply it starts out and then quickly it gets more and more complex. Because if you only have one card in hand, you have a pretty good idea, especially since in Wizard you know what the trump card is. That's a face-up random card at the beginning of the round. You have a good idea of whether or not you're going to win that hand. But once you have 8 cards in hand and you need to base your bid off of 8 cards, it's a lot more difficult. But you've had time to think about it over the course of the game. So it becomes a little zany, a little wacky the later you get in the game. But that escalating decision point of how many bids am I going to make? How many tricks do I think I can win this round? It becomes escalatingly more interesting, even though it is still interesting early in the game. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight this ramping up mechanism in Wizard. I think it is a really, really cool mechanism. And I think we've seen it a lot in trick-taking games, but I don't think it belongs solely in trick-taking games. I think it can go in other games as well, where you start very simply and then escalate up from there. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you have any other suggestions of games that ramp up in that way, definitely let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about them. Or if you have a different favorite mechanism in Wizard, I'd love to hear about that as well. Thanks.